Kisongoi Kinyapo begins her morning as she's begun most mornings since she was old enough to remember, walking her land and tending to her cattle. But this decades-old routine could soon change. Last month, the government told Kinyapo and her neighbors they had to leave their homes. Kinyapo says it's unthinkable. We've lived on this land since time immemorial, she says. We've nowhere else to go. The evictions are part of a government bid to create what it calls a conservation corridor, setting aside land to protect wildlife, they say, from overgrazing by Maasai cattle. Part of the corridor will still be accessible as Maasai grazing land, but no one will be allowed to live here. And in some areas, like where Kinyapo now lives, both the Maasai and their cattle will be banned. The Maasai say they stand to lose about 40% of this land, lush hills and forests that are crucial to the survival of their cattle during dry season. The government is defending the eviction, saying the area must be preserved, noting that Loliondo lies on the famed southern wildlife migratory route. In colonial times, this was a hunting ground reserved for European royalty. Today, it's becoming a battleground, with the Maasai seeing not only their government as the enemy, but also wealthy Emiratis. The Emirati Hunting Company, or Otello Business Corporation, OBC, has been operating here since 1992, the very same year the Maasai say they were first accused of illegally settling nearby areas. But an OBC spokesman tells CNN the land issue has nothing to do with his corporation, as they don't actually own land in Loliondo. In fact, he says the conservation corridor will reduce their areas, with the government set to deduct 2,500 kilometers square from their concession. The Maasai are not convinced, and today they gather to discuss the way forward in a battle they've been fighting for years. In trucks, on motorbikes, many walking for miles, desperate to hear what their leaders will propose. The government has also said that it is legal for them to evict you from this land because you are illegally settled on it.
I can show you all the title deeds for the village land. Yeah, that's one of the titles deeds. This is the number. This is Ololosokan. And what you are saying that this land doesn't belong to the community. This is because the government want to just to give the OBC, the hunting company or the Arab company, to have to access more land for hunting without being disturbed by these local communities.
The Tanzanian government, which maintains it owns the land, denies the move has anything to do with OBC. It referred CNN to an earlier statement where the Minister for Natural Resources said, quote, "It took this decision with the understanding that environment conservation is as important for ecosystem protection as it is for community livelihood and community development." But the Maasai say this is not development. It's the destruction of a way of life. A life they've seen steadily change in the years since the British moved them from the Serengeti in the late 50s. Human rights groups say more than 60,000 people will be affected if the eviction goes through.
And we are saying we cannot move from there. We'll stay there no matter we die.
The Tanzanian parliament has now announced plans to convene a two-day debate to discuss options. The Maasai leaders we spoke with said there was only one option. Whatever the consequences, they say they will not be moved. Ni'mal Bagher, CNN, Loliondo.